The most important step when you're either sending or receiving Bitcoin is to always verify that the address you're sending to or receiving to is the expected address. So I'm going to show you how to do that whether you're sending Bitcoin to your hardware wallet or sending Bitcoin out of your hardware wallet. Okay, so first I'll show you how to do this when you're sending to your hardware wallet when you want to move Bitcoin into cold storage from the exchange. So here I'm logged into my River account. I have some Bitcoin here, and no matter what exchange you're using, this process is all generally the same. So you click send Bitcoin, and here it's asking for an address. So this is the address from our coldcard. So we're using Sparrow to manage our wallet. So open Sparrow. And here's my wallet. You can see there's a few transactions here. So to receive a transaction, you can click on receive, and it will give you the next address in your wallet that hasn't been used. So click the copy button and go back to Sparrow and click paste. And then choose the amount you want to send. I'll choose 10. Okay, I can't do 10. I'll do 20. Hit continue. Choose your fee. Okay, I've put in the verification code that I received on my phone. So now, the most important part is to make sure that this address is our address. Because in Bitcoin, if you send to the wrong address, there's absolutely no way to recover that Bitcoin. It's gone forever. There's no customer service that can help you. There's no 800 number. It's completely gone. So that's why you have to make sure that the address you send to is where you're expecting to send it to. So it's usually valid to verify the first 5 or 6 characters and the last 5 or 6 characters of the address. If you're hyper paranoid, you can check every single character. For this example, we're just going to check the first and last few. So before we hit send Bitcoin, let's do that verification. So the first 6 are BC1 Q09. So if we go back to Sparrow, BC1 Q09, that matches. And then the last 6. So 6 CG SPM, 6 CG SPM. If you want, you can mouse over here and compare every character. You can even just copy this value. If you want, you can just if you want to just check another way, you can just copy this value, open some notepad program, and paste it, and then copy it from Sparrow, paste it there as well, and you can just visually inspect it and see it's exactly the same. Now, if you're hyper paranoid, let's say you're moving a very large amount of Bitcoin, if you are really worried about this, you can verify this address. You can verify that this address belongs to your wallet directly on the source of truth, which is the hardware wallet itself. So what I just showed you, this is our wallet, but it's in Sparrow Wallet. So who's to say that our laptop isn't compromised, or there's something wrong with Sparrow, or our copy of Sparrow's wallet software isn't genuine, or somebody tampered with our laptop. These things have happened. So if you're worried about that and you want to be ultra safe, you can check on the address on the hardware wallet itself. So let me show you how to do that. Okay, so go to your coldcard hardware wallet. I've got mine plugged in and I've signed in with my PIN code. And the seed phrase is already configured on the cold card. And I know that because it says ready to sign on top. So what you want to do is go down to Address Explorer. And you can read through this prompt. Just press 4 to continue. And now what it's doing is, well, first let's go through this. So it's telling us to choose an address format to show. So you can choose this one, SegWit, the one that starts with BC1, because that's the same address format in Sparrow Wallet. So hit OK. Now what it's showing us are the first 10 addresses in our wallet. Now, in Sparrow Wallet, if you remember, the address that it gave us was ending in CGSPM. So we can scroll through these addresses on the cold card and find that address. So you can scroll down. Here's one address. Keep going. Here's another address. So I've only received one transaction in this wallet. That's why this address in Sparrow is the second one in the cold card, because we've already used one. So now what's the point of doing this? It's to make sure that our computer isn't compromised in any way. Because if it is, maybe it's giving us the wrong address that's actually not ours. It's highly unlikely unless you're, doing something really stupid online or you're a public figure with a lot of Bitcoin. If you're just a regular person, this might be like overkill, but it never hurts. So we can do the same check that we just performed. So we can check the first few digits or so. So BC1, Q09, and you can either compare it to here in Sparrow or just compare it in your exchange. That actually makes more sense. So in River, BC1 Q09WN, and that's exactly what we have here on the cold card, BC1 Q09WN. And now we'll check the last few characters, E06 C, oh, it's cut off, E06 CGSPM, and in River, E06 CGSPM. So again, this is telling us that this address that we've plugged into our exchange that we're sending to, that is the address on our cold card wallet that belongs to us. And it hasn't been tampered with by the laptop in any way. Even if our laptop was infected with some copy and paste malware or something really wrong, this is the real source of truth, the cold card. It can't be tampered with, or it's very unlikely that it is. And that's because it's not connected to the internet. It's an offline device. So that's why we can trust the cold card. So now, what about the other side to this question? How do you verify the address if you want to send Bitcoin from your hardware wallet back to the exchange? Because the process is a little bit different, but I will show you how to do that. Okay, so we're in Sparrow. Here's the transaction that we just sent to our wallet. So we want to send this transaction from our wallet back to River, our Bitcoin exchange. So first thing you need to do is go to your exchange, click Receive Bitcoin, and copy the on-chain address here. Now go back to Sparrow and click Send. You can clear this information. How do we do this? Okay. And now paste that address that we just copied. Add a label. Send transaction test. And I'm going to send all of these sats and choose your fee. Now, click Create Transaction. So here in the transaction, click Finalize Transaction for signing. And let's see, If you expand the screen, you can see the address here that we're sending to and the amount of sats. So we can either check it here or we can check it using the ultra paranoid method. Okay, so here's the address that we're sending to here. Here's the amount of sats. So we're going to do our first check here in Sparrow. So just like before, verify the first 5 or 6 characters. So BC1 Q9JD. And here back in River, BC1 Q9JD. Okay, and 92 NPS 8X. 92 NPS 8X. There's still another opportunity for us to check this address. This is just our initial check. So what we want to do is hit save transaction, and then we want to save it to our micro SD card, because we're going to put this micro SD card into our coldcard hardware wallet and sign the transaction. And that's where we do our final check. Okay, now on the coldcard, I've saved the transaction to the micro SD card and put that inside of the coldcard. If you want to see those steps in detail, look at my other videos on my channel, which go through each step in detail. So on the coldcard, go down to, or actually select the first option, ready to sign. And now it's giving us an option. There's 2 files on this SD card that can be signed, 2 transaction files. The one that we created just now is this one, send transaction test. So choose that. And now this is the source of truth. Again, the coldcard is the source of truth for checking addresses and other details for transaction. So we want to check on the coldcard the address that we're sending to in our exchange is correct. And also we want to make sure the amount of sats are correct. So it was 18,000 sats. And now here's the to address. So in River, it was BC1 Q9JD. And that's what we see in River, BC1 Q9JD. And then the last few, X92 NPS 8X, X92 NPS 8X. So now we can comfortably know that this address is accurate, it's genuine, and it's ours. Back in our laptop, we've inserted our SD card into it and go to Sparrow, click load transaction, and navigate to the transaction file that we just created, which is this one right here. We called it send transaction test, and after we sign it, it will append this dash signed to it. So click open. Okay, and now it's showing us again the sats that we're sending, the amount of sats, and the address. So we can check again here, but at this point it's kind of redundant, but you can check just in case. So BC1 Q9JD, BC1 Q9JD, and then X92 NPS 8X, X92 NPS 8X. So this is the last stop. All we have to do is click broadcast transaction, and then we're done. So that's everything. Just make sure that you check the address on the coldcard no matter what. If you're not sure about where to check it along the way, just know that the coldcard or your hardware wallet, use that as the source of truth, because that is the safest device. It's more safe than your laptop.